Hi there. In this video I'm going to show you how to, as a person who has no understanding of 3D modeling like I do, how to open and eventually animate these Dragon's Prophet models from the game. So, to get something like this dragon here, what you need to do is to navigate to the files below. You'll get several files, and they will be an IDX Unpacker. So you'll get an IDX Unpacker, and then you extract the IDX Unpacker to wherever your Dragon's Prophet game is installed. So in my case, I'm using the North American client on my drive E, so that would be users, public, Sony Online Entertainment, installed games, Dragon's Prophet, and we're here. Obviously your directory may vary depending on where it's installed, but once you're in this folder, you want to navigate to pack. So you can see that I've already done some stuff here. There are some files missing in this folder. Your files there'll be a lot more here. But yeah, navigate to the files folder and we'll have a couple of things here. And the big one we want is character IDX. So I've already put the unpacker here. This is the unpacker. You want IDX Unpacker.exe and you want DPlib.dll. Both of these need to be in this folder, or any folder of your choosing, before you decide to unpack. Now we have other IDX files, they're not quite as interesting. We've got Atlas, we've got some various other assets and things. Some of them you probably won't even be able to open. Sound IDX has the game sounds, but Character IDX is the one that has the dragon models. So what you want to do is you want to actually open IDX Unpacker. You want to go to File, you want to Open, and you want to navigate to Character IDX. Then click Open. Once this starts, it will take some time, so be patient. There'll be a little bar in the bottom and it'll show you everything that's being unpacked. It will take up quite a bit of space, so be aware of that. And the unpacking process itself can take anywhere up to 10, 20, 30 minutes depending on things. If you do get an error, for whatever reason, it is most likely because you do not have DPlib.dll present in the same folder as it. And I highly suggest that you put them together in the same folder. So we've got them both in there. I've already unpacked character.idx in this example, so what the IDX Unpacker will do is it will dump the files into the same directory it's in. So now we have this folder called character. I'll navigate to character, and there are a couple of things here. There is creature. This is boss models and enemy creatures. We have dragon, which is our dragons we're after, drama creature, NPC, and player character. So we want to navigate to dragon. You'll notice that dragons are divided into families, at least tameable dragons are divided into families in each folder. You'll notice the names of the folders differ slightly in the internal files. For example, if you want a Fabled Ancient, you would have to look in the Mytherian folder, and this would be all the Fabled Ancients here. So just get a good gauge of where you are. Textures will typically clue you in to what dragons are in where. So Lady Vox is in here, and Scardis the Frost Monarch is here, so this is Fabled Ancients. If we navigate over to the War Dragons here, we look in the Textures folder, we look at these, we go, oh, that wing is the dragon from DHT, so these are Assault Dragons. That's Sadras the Bone Eater, so yeah, these are Assault Dragons. So that's basically what you want to look at. Once these are all unpacked, you'll notice they're divided into motions, textures, and models. So this leads us to the next thing. So what you want to do now is you want to go ahead and install these files. So you want to install Blender version 2.49, and you want to install Python version 2.6.6. Once you've done this, you'll also want to add these files into the folder. So in this folder here, I have installed Blender 2.4. I've also installed Python 2.6.6. If you have issues with Python not being detected by your console, if your console is giving you errors, what you'll want to do at that point is you'll want to install both the 32-bit and 64-bit versions of Python, and it should eventually work. So moving on, Blender 2.49.blend, you want to paste this into this folder here. Starter.py will also go into this folder, and then in this Blender folder you want to navigate to Blender, Scripts, bpymodules, and put new DPlib into here. This will give you the basic functions for the Dragon's Prophet models, and with a bit of tinkering, it should work just fine. So in our example here, we've opened this guy. I am going to save him temporarily. We're going to call him Fabled Motion Eat. But what we actually want to do here is we want to go File, Open. You want to navigate into your folder and go straight for Blender 2.49.blend. That will load up the script here, so it'll be in this panel. And now while this panel is selected, you want to select it with your cursor, and you want to press on your keyboard Alt and P. No. When you press Alt and P, it will bring up this folder here, and from here it will ask us to open a ROS file or a RAS file. We want to open a ROS file first. So again, navigate to E, navigate to, well, obviously it depends on your drive, wherever your Dragon's Prophet is installed. So mine is E, users, public, Sony Online Entertainment, installed games, Dragon's Prophet, pack, files, character, dragon, and then here, this is where we decide to open things up. So we could even look, for example, at Anguis. So this is an unreleased dragon. Let's open Anguis Head 3. This isn't going to look quite as good as the other dragons, but it's here. So first of all, the first thing to bear in mind is to not worry about the black on this. This is perfectly normal. This is just how it renders. So don't worry about this. This is kind of an unfinished dragon. So this is Anguis. So one thing we can do is we can, at this point, select in the editor. We could press Alt and P again, and to save a little bit of time, rather than go through the directory of E again, we can scroll down here and go down to recently accessed places, and it will take us straight to the Anguis folder. So here, the next step we want to do is make sure this is selected, this body here, by right-clicking, and then select Anguis skeleton.ros and click import. So this will load all the bones on the Anguis model, and what we want to do after that, besides me trying to mess up and move things around, is you want to, let me reload the bones here because I undid my action. So reload the bones. We want to click on the bones, so make sure the bones are selected. Select in this field, this script field again, press Alt and P. And then once again you want to go to Anguis, but this time you want to go to motion. And here in the motion folder, you'll see like a couple of things. we're gonna pick the... We'll pick a loop. Let's pick walk forward. Let's import. I don't know if this will work because this is a new model, like I said. And then hit play, and hopefully... Yes, okay. So when we hit play, it will play the dragon. Now, obviously, if you wanted to do some stuff with this, you could go into add camera, and you could add a camera into the field. If you added a camera into the field, you could, for example, depends where it puts it, but you could manipulate it and then obviously record the motion there. If you want to add normal maps, obviously I can't do it on here, but I will load an example for you. So if we open forward flight loop far. So this is a one I already set up already. So on here, you want to make sure that your boy is selected, at least his body is selected. And what you want to do, so this is our Draculich here. I forget exactly what the name of this one is called, but just make sure he's selected, and then just below here in the panels, you can see materials. So this is where you can load normal maps. And obviously I don't know quite as well about this bit, but you can hit new to make a new texture, and then on the textures panel you can set it up as a normal map. And then it should work. But when that's all done, and you've got a camera set up, and you've got a light source set up, you want to go render settings. Just make sure you're happy with your render settings. There's quite a few settings here, so just have a look at them. Make sure that I make sure that AVI codec is set on. And then you can either select anim there, or I believe you can just select it here. So you can render animation, or you can render current frame. It takes a bit of time to render the animation, but once it's done, it's pretty done. But yeah, the camera itself can be pretty hard to manipulate. But if you're having trouble with that, or if you're having trouble with a model that looks really dark for some reason, make sure you have a light source, otherwise the dragon will just appear completely black. You actually need to have light on there somewhere in order for the dragon to show up. So yeah, it's rendering the frames now. Obviously, one thing you could do before this is do render single frame, just to see if it's in the frame as you like it. But yeah, this is pretty much it to viewing Dragon's Prophet models. Obviously, from here on out, depending on your experience, I'm not very experienced at the whole Dragon's Prophet model thing. You can, at this point, just maybe, if you have the skill to do it, turn it into whatever you want. Obviously the motions you can do for something. I have ideas in mind myself what I want to do, maybe like a Heroes 3 mod or something. But yeah. Once you've got everything set up correctly, you'll have it preview in game like, in the editor like this. And obviously from there on out, you can either delete it and reload something new, or you can mess with other frame types. So if I wanted to load a new animation type, for example, you hit delete. Okay, we've still got the wings there, good. Make sure you're selected. Alt and P. Open this navigation, go into Material/motion, and then let's see what we want. We want... Do we want the jump? Jump begin? Jump loop. I'm not sure what jump loop is gonna look like, so we'll see. Oh, I need to load a skeleton, hang on. Hang on. So go back into Mytherian, like the skeleton, because I didn't select the skeleton, Alt-P, and then navigate back into motion, and then let's do, what was it? Is it jump loop? Oh, the casting animation is cool. Let's do the cast. I don't remember what it looks like, but yeah, I'll start configuring it. I'll just give it a moment. So that's one. If we wanted to, we could change that. So make sure it's selected again. Alt-P. There's a certain one I kind of want to look for here. I think it's either cast 1 or 2. Let's try cast 2. There is a pretty nice looking one here. I think we've got it. That's one of them. There is one more. There's another example there. Press Ctrl and Z. Okay, Ctrl and Z, Alt and P. Motion. Cast 1. I think this is the cool one. This is the one you do when you're transformed and you click Guild Sanctuary, I believe. Oh, it's not. Interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, there's plenty of things here. And obviously you can render current frame to see what the current frame looks like. Obviously that looks pretty cool to me. I like it. Just remember that there's going to be jaggies depending on how you render it. But the render preview is always going to look a little bit weird. When you actually view it in... Okay, so I'll render this. I'll actually render this animation. We'll do the whole thing. It's going to take a little bit. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, but just remember to review. You want to unpack the character IDX files. You want to then open the Rust file. You want to install Blender. You want to install Python 2.66. You want to set up the file folders in Blender so that it is so you've got the Py file and the Blender 249 file in the main folder, and then the new lib thing in the modules folder. If you want to change skins, you can do that pretty easily. One way you can do that is go into the texture folder. If you want a good preview of a skin, for example, let's hit event Abyss Dragon. So you can see all the parts that come with him, all the normals. If you want to add the normal map, I added the normal map. I highly recommend if you can add a normal map, do it, because it makes the model look much better. I'm not so sure about how to add these parts, so if anyone knows how to do it, they can do it. But yeah, also didn't mean to open that there. So yeah, this is nearly done rendering now, just waiting for the last few, and then I'll show you what it looks like in VLC Player. So obviously you could use any, so obviously I know it's converting to AVI, but you can use the AVI and convert it to either MP4 or GIF, which are really good for, I don't know, videos and stuff. You could render it out as separate images, however you want to do it. Or of course you could just skip all of this and you could just edit the models in Blender itself. You could make them ready for Unity and you could use them in VR chat or whatever you feel like. I want to see people mod with these models, man. Because I think modding will draw attention to them, and then you can tell them that it came from this amazing game called Dragon's Prophet that a lot of people had memories with. And yeah, so If you want to find where your render is, it's in, by default, C temp. At least in my case, it's in C temp. So if I go to C, I go to temp, and I'm going to right click my file because I want to open it with VLC Player. I find Windows Media Player is not very good. And there you go. There is one very angry Draco Lich. He's a mad boy. So that pretty much ends my bit on how to open them. I hope it kind of helps. I know if you're still stuck after watching this, I don't really know what to say because maybe like hit me up or something and I'll try and fix it. But I can't promise anything as I'm not very experienced with this type of software or anything. I'm just a rookie like you. But I thought I'd make it easier to help you figure out what to do. And yeah, so I want to thank TheSoulja for helping me out with this and babying me through the Blender part. And yeah, it looks like we won't actually have to rely on 3ds Max to get these models working properly. I will say there is some issues I've found. They're not quite as severe as 3ds Max, but I find that you can't seem to load pillows. So if anyone can figure out how to load Mytherian 16, this is the pillow dragon, absolutely please work on that because we don't know. And if you can figure it out, that'd be amazing. Alright, toodles.